Hey friends, it's Missy again. Thanks so much for stopping in today. I'm back with a new layout. It's for the Paige Evans design team. And this is my first layout using her new collection called Wonders. And it is beautiful and gorgeous as always. I had to stop and stare at it for a few days before I could decide what paper to start with. And I finally decided to use this paper. It's paper number 1. And I actually really love both sides. I love that yellow, and then I love all of these colorful, I guess you could call that a mandala shape or a doily of some sort. But I thought that I would fussy cut out a lot of these and create a background design with them. But I'm going to cut the paper that's from the 12 by 12 paper pad because those papers don't have anything on the back, and I wanted to use the yellow for my background. So I'm going to cut these out, and then I'm going to use a colored background. I use white a lot, but I just felt compelled to use this gorgeous yellow pattern paper. And this is kind of the idea that I was going for. I'm going to use a pool photo, mainly because this photo has some dark green in it, which matches these colors, and also has the pretty blue color. And so I thought that it would match and pull all those colors together. And then I'm also going to use one of Paige's stencils. This is called Doily. And I felt like it really coordinated nicely with all of these fun shapes and all of the intricate designs on those. So I thought that I would jazz up the background by adding some texture and dimension using this stencil. And this yellow paper, I love it because it starts really light at the top and then gets darker as it goes on toward the bottom. So what I thought I would do is go ahead and prep the paper with some white gesso. Now, this is still going to be a very yellow background, but the top part of it is pretty much going to be covered with all of those shapes that I cut out. So the bottom half is where you're going to see a lot of the color. And I wanted to add some gesso first because first it's going to prep the paper for mixed media, and second it's going to give me a little bit of white space. It's going to fade out some of the yellow. So when I go to add the modeling paste and the color, it's going to look a little bit different because it's going to be mostly on white versus the yellow. Because sometimes if you add color to a colored background, it's going to change the color of the watercolor or the spray or whatever, because it's not going on white. It's going to look a little bit different. So this is kind of where I'm starting, and I'll talk through that as I get to each part of that process. But this looks like a big white splotchy mess right now, but trust me, it's gonna work out. So I'm gonna keep working with it. I'm using a 2-inch silicone brush to smudge this on. Got that on Amazon. A friend actually sent it to me, but they are on Amazon, so that's where it came from. Just for the record, if you want to search 2-inch silicone brush, you will likely find it on Amazon. I'm using my fingers a lot. I tend to do that when I'm making a messy background because honestly, sometimes they work better than a brush. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do with the stencil. I'm going to go ahead and start because I smudged the gesso on so thin that it dried pretty quickly. So this is modeling paste. It's very thick and white, and when it dries, it is going to be in the shape of this stencil, and it's going to be raised up off the page. It's going to be very rough and textured and bumpy, and so when you touch it, you're definitely going to be able to feel it. And sometimes I like that about layouts. I like the way it feels when you touch it, you know, when you're flipping through or looking at layouts. But it also looks really cool when you add color on top of it. So see how detailed that is? I love that. So I'm going to do this in a couple of spots. I'm just using a plastic palette knife there to scrape this on. And this doesn't take long to dry either, but I wanted to, you know, make sure it was really, really dry before I added any liquid on top of it, because it would kind of dissolve it and it would all kind of blend together. So if you're using modeling paste and you want to add color on top of it, definitely make sure it is 100% dry before you add anything on top of it. But I'm going to do this in 4 different spots, and it's going to be kind of peeking out from underneath all of the shapes that I'm going to add, and then from underneath the photo. And it's just going to add some interest and some texture and some detail to the background, which I love. Another tip is as soon as you get finished using your stencils, go wash them off, because that stuff will dry pretty quickly and it will ruin your stencil and be really hard to get off if it dries. So this is dry. You can see I'm rubbing it over with my hands. It's very rough and textured, and it's hard to see now because it's all white on white, but once I add color on top of it, you'll be able to just kind of see it come to life. So I'm going to layer all of these shapes together, all the colors kind of spread around, and then I'm going to create a little cluster at the bottom. Now I also cut out some of the smaller ones that are on that 12 by 12 paper. I'm eventually going to cut off the little green spots, or not green spots, but they look like green leaves, because I wanted them to be just a little bit smaller. Okay, so I'm going to use some shimmers on the background, and I decided to go with colors that would pull from the pool water in the photo. And this bottle here is almost dry, and it's almost empty. So I have a clogged nozzle. So I just decided to unscrew the lid and just pour some straight on. And this is an aqua color. It's called Well Blue Me Down. And you can see right away how it makes that modeling paste just kind of pop off the page. And this looks like a lot. I'm going to add some water and use my brush and kind of dilute this a little bit and kind of spread it around. And this is definitely going to react a little bit different because it is on pattern paper. The paper is yellow. You know, it's not thick white cardstock or watercolor paper. So do be careful if you do a lot of water like this on just plain old pattern paper, because it's not really meant for a lot of mixed media. But if you're careful and you do use the gesso, it does help strengthen the paper and it makes it work a lot better. And you have to expect some warping and bending and waving of the paper because it's paper, it's not super thick. As soon as water hits it and anything else like that, it's going to warp it a little bit, but there are ways to fix that. So I've got this blue on here, and then I was just feeling gold when I was looking at those mandala shapes. I don't know, they just screamed gold to me for some reason. So I pulled out some of the Jen Hadfield gold glitter spray. It's basically the same thing as the Heidi Swapp gold color shine, and I just went to spraying, splattering, and just kind of mixing it right on top of this blue. And it's basically going to create this extreme shimmery shine, because shimmers are pretty shimmery on their own. And then when I add this on top of it, it's extra shimmery and shiny as well. And so this is going to be a very metallic background. So this is where I'm at so far. Ooh, look how shiny that is. Love, love, love all the gold and the blue. So yeah, you can definitely see the shapes from the stencil, and you can see how my page is kind of warped there. It got really wet, and it's really not 100% dry at this point. I'm gonna kind of come back in with all of the shapes and kind of layer them together and see what I've got at this point so far. And sometimes I'm hesitant to add a bold color like aqua to a colored pattern paper like this yellow paper, because it does come across differently versus a white background. You get the true color on top of white, and so it does look a little bit different, but I feel like in the end it works, and you'll be able to see it in its true color at the end when I show you the still photos, because my desk lights always make it look a little bit different. What I'm doing here is adding some adhesive foam behind some of those shapes up top. Some of them are flat, some of them are raised up to create some dimension. And then look at these fun puffy phrase stickers. There's a ton of them and so many fun colors. I wanted to use one of those for my title, and I felt like since my photo had all this open area of pool water toward the bottom, that I could overlap my title right down there on the bottom. And I'm going to go with So Much Fun. And I don't do this a whole lot, but I'm going to just stick it right on top of the photo. I feel like there's room for it, and it doesn't take away from anything else important in the photo. And I like how it stands out against the light color of the pool. I'm going to go ahead and layer in some tissue paper here. I like to do this almost always behind my photo because it just gives a little messy, subtle border, and I like that it's thin and you can tell it's there, but it's not taking away from anything. I'm going to go ahead and start to glue down the background shapes. And you can see there what I was talking about earlier about how there is some warping on top of where I did the modeling paste. But I'm going to keep working on that because I don't want that big crease or those 2 creases there on top of the modeling paste. It kind of detracts from the shape of what the stencil created. So I'm going to work on flattening that out. Sometimes I lay lots of heavy things in certain areas on my background to flatten it out. I did a little bit of stitching. I just did 1 straight stitch there with some gold thread through those 3 words on the title. And then I'm going to make sure that the photo is the same level. So adding some tissue, or not tissue paper. I already did the tissue paper. Some adhesive foam behind there. And then I found this mandala in the 2x2 paper pad, and it says yay on it. And so I thought, okay, I got to use that because she's having a lot of fun there in the pool. And I'm going to create a little cluster down at the bottom, and that's where I'm going to use that piece. I'm trying to figure out where to put all these smaller ones. And the cool thing about the smaller ones is that they can also pass for flowers. So if you're creating a floral layout, those would make excellent flowers. This is the cardstock sticker sheet. I'm going to start to kind of just pull in other embellishments and play around. I'm not quite sure what I want to add yet. This is the 8-page sticker book. Even though all of the pieces are separate, you can just open up the plastic and pull them out. It kind of feels like a sticker book. And there are lots of clear stickers and gold foiled stickers. There's another little alpha set in there. It's awesome. So yeah, I already have a title, so I don't have to worry about trying to find a title. So it's interesting because, you know, from layout to layout, that varies. Sometimes it's the first thing I think of. Sometimes the title is the very last thing. In this case, it kind of came early on, and that part is done. I'm going to go ahead and trim off the excess pieces that are hanging off the end in a couple spots there. I always love to run things off the edges. I feel like it just kind of, I don't know, I like that. It just kind of gives the idea of, it just, I don't even know. I can't even describe what I'm trying to say, but I like doing that. Gonna keep working with the smaller pieces, and I'm not done with the background yet. Sometimes I think I'm done, and then at the end I realize, no, I need to add something else. But things are getting glued down. Look at this beautiful paper. This is from the 6x8 paper pad, and it's got this really fun texture on it, but it's a dark blue ombre. And I'm just going to tear a little piece of it to layer under the bottom of the photo. I felt like I needed a little something dark and bold to kind of separate the bottom of the photo from all that texture and detail from the paste. So that piece of paper did that beautifully. And then I'm going to work in some tangled thread here. I'm going to use a couple of colors. I'm going to use a bright pink color underneath the bottom of the photo. And I didn't want to do too much with the thread because I felt like the background was very textured as is, but I did want to add those pops of color that the thread provides. Down here in this cluster, I'm going to use purple because there are some purple pieces at the top. So we're going with pink under the photo and then purple down at the bottom. And my dilemma from this point on is what other embellishments to add, because I feel like this is very busy. You know, there's a ton of color, there's a ton of pattern, a ton of small, tiny details. So I'm looking for small things. This is the sticker sheet, well, a couple of the sticker sheets from the 8-page sticker book. There's a whole sheet of metallic pieces that are kind of like the doily or the mandala that match these shapes. So I tried a couple of those, tried a couple of these little phrase stickers, and I feel like they are going to look best down here at the bottom in the cluster. So I'm going to use this one here, but I want to raise it up. So I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive foam behind that. And that says enjoy the moment. A lot of the phrases and the sentiments in this collection are very general. So, you know, they're not too themey at all. You can use them for pretty much anything. And of course, there are things in multiple colors. So any color scheme is going to work with this collection. And that's usually how Paige's collections are. They have all the colors. And so it makes it Super easy to make rainbow layouts or, just use all the colors. I try hard sometimes to make monochromatic layouts with her collections, and I fail miserably because I can't stop using all the colors because they're gorgeous together and they just work. Look at this little pretty mandala. It's a clear sticker, but it's got gold foil on it, so it's extra shiny. I'm going to stick it to some white cardstock and then cut it out so I can move it around. And since it's a clear sticker, I don't want to stick it directly to the colored background because it would totally change the color, and it's not going to stick very smoothly because of all that texture paste. So this is going to help with that. And the shapes from this sticker sheet were perfect because they're smaller, which is exactly what I was looking for. I don't want to add anything that's really big at this point. I've got plenty of big things, so I'm going to pop up a couple of these little metallic pieces from the sticker book in a couple spots because I want that texture from the stencil to show. I don't want to just keep adding and adding and adding until it's to where it's completely covered up, or it would just defeat the point of making it. But at the same time, everything's so pretty and I just wanted to keep adding it. That's the problem, in scrapbooking. It's like, I know I should stop, but am I going to? Probably not. It's a good thing there are no rules, right? It's your layout. You made it. You can do what you want. So here's what I'm doing. I'm adding more to the background because apparently I didn't have enough blue or aqua. So we're coming back in with another shimmers. This color is called Snow Way Man. And yeah, talking about adding onto the background at the last minute here, did it even really need to happen? I don't know. I just felt the need to do this at this point in time. So yeah, we're adding more. We're adding splatters. I did like the effect of the blue splatters because I felt like I did need some of that, but I don't know. Sometimes things just go through my head as I'm making these layouts and I feel like I need to do something. And then later on as I'm doing this voiceover, I'm thinking, why did you do that? Did you really need to do that? But it turns out okay in the end, I think. But yeah, there's a lot going on here. Here's what I've got so far. You can see the dimension. It's not two-dimensional, but I do like the way the shapes pop off the page. And I do like the shine. And I still feel like even though it's super busy and super colorful, there's still some open, plain space, which is the yellow spaces. So I'm trying to leave those alone. I did want to layer some things over the right side of the picture because I felt like it was too naked. I don't even know if that makes sense, but I wanted to have something creeping over on the right side of it. So I'm going to add another one of the little mandala pieces that look like a flower, and then this little circle sticker that says love. And I like that. I still feel like my husband and my daughter in the photos still have plenty of open space to play, and there's not a lot of things in their way. Even though it's a picture and no one's moving, I like to pretend like the people in my photos are happy on the layout. They have plenty of things to look at. They have room to move in whatever activity they're doing. Yes, I've been scrapbooking a long time and it's messed with my brain apparently because now my photos are coming alive like in Harry Potter. Who knows? Hopefully you understand what I'm saying. I'm using a couple of chipboard pieces now. I'm using that little label piece up above the photo. That's where the date is going to go. And then I'm going to use some of these little tiny circles that have little metallic, it's almost like a star in the middle. And they're all different colors. And so I'm going to put a couple of those in a couple spots for some small, tiny little details. And my cluster at the bottom just keeps getting bigger. I'm going to try to leave it alone. Or am I? Yep, even at this point, I didn't know. When the fingers start drumming on the table, that's me going, should I stop or what? What am I doing? Should I keep going? I don't know. That's usually when I take a break because my brain needs to reconvene at a later time and look at it again with fresh eyes. But, we're going to keep trudging along because we're almost done. Yeah. What else? What else? We're going to keep going. Oh my gosh. Will she stop? Nobody knows. I don't even remember. I just finished this layout yesterday and I'm apparently not stopping. But it's still pretty. I love this collection. I think it's beautiful. All right, we are almost done. We're going to do the writing. Look how close I have to get because I can't see. I'm getting old. My eyesight is failing me. Yeah, I'm like 1 inch from the page. Good grief. I'm going to do my journaling here on the left side above those little phrase stickers because I feel like that's the most open area. And then I'm going to use my gold pen because gold, even though it's kind of hard to read here, you can see it better in person. But anyway, there it is. Now you can see it in its full correct color. I love how this turned out. I feel like it is super busy, but I love it. I think the colors are beautiful. There's a good shot of the texture on the background, and I think it turned out really nice. And I love the mixture of the blue and the gold, and it turned out really shiny and very colorful, very textured. This is one of those layouts where I want to touch it. And I think the photo still stands out, even though everything is busy, because there's a lot of solid, I call that a solid kind of photo, because there's the solid green at the top and the solid blue at the bottom, so it doesn't compete with all of those other colors, if that makes any sense. See what I'm talking about there? But yeah, I hope this inspired you in some way. I hope it gave you some ideas, maybe something new to try, or here, you know, you could use this as an idea of what to do with this particular paper in this collection. So let me know if you have any questions, and I will get back with you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.